Hello YouTube, this is Shirley426 and today we have the review of the Premium Bundle exclusive HG Gundam AGE-1 Razor and Gundam AGE-2 Artemis set. So before I actually start the review, I just wanted to show the box and mention a few things. Number one, today I'm going to review the HG Gundam AGE-1 Razor, and tomorrow I'll be reviewing the other Gundam AGE-2 Artemis. So that's the way how this is going to go. And I would like to mention this is the recent re-release of these kits. I say re-release because originally the way how you're supposed to get these two is that back then, so this is how I understood the situation as far as I know. This is way long ago. And number one, to get the actual Gundam AGE-1 Razor or the Artemis, you had to get their parts, their specific exclusive parts, without the main body. So the way how to get these is that you had to buy a specific jet, like a Bandai hobby magazine kind of thing, and in those magazines would include a small box of parts that would include either the Artemis parts or the Razor parts. And in the box you would actually get the parts but would not have the actual Gundam AGE-1 or AGE-2 body, so you would have to buy the actual AGE-1 normal or AGE-2 kits separately. That's the way how I understood it. But recently Bandai actually decided to re-release these kits as a full set, so meaning these kits now actually include all the parts to make the Gundam AGE-1 and to also make the Gundam Razor and Artemis as well. So that is this kit as well. So anybody who already owns the old hobby magazine parts included version and had the AGE-1 or AGE-2 separate kit already, then this would not be exactly a new kit for those people. Alright, so that's the part I wanted to mention. So let's go back to reviewing the HG Gundam AGE-1 Razor. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So here we have the HG Gundam AGE-1 Razor. I really wanted to get this kit for a long time, but at the time, once again, I was looking for these those hobby magazine exclusive parts at the time, and I wasn't able to find one. If I did find one, they would be already sold out. So I'm really glad Bandai decided to re-release these as a full-fledged set at the same time. Alright, so the Gundam AGE-1 Razor is basically the way how the Gundam AGE system took the Gundam AGE-1 Spallo into consideration, that it definitely had some flaws in it, so they decided to fix a few flaws and made a souped up version of it, which became the Gundam AGE-1 Razor. Now, this was not exactly specifically seen in the anime. This was not seen in the anime, but for those who played the good old PSP game, the Gundam AGE Cosmic Drive, I believe there's the Cosmic Drive, and there was another. It's the same game, but was a different name, and there are some variation changes within the game, such as certain parts can be obtained on the. It's like Pokemon Red and Blue. It's the same game, but you can only there are certain Pokemon that you can catch in the A version or the red version or the blue version. So the Cosmic AGE, the Gundam AGE Cosmic Drive game had the same situation there. But if you play this main story or campaign mode, and before heading to this AGE-2 arc, at the end of AGE-1 arc, you actually do get to play and use this specific unit. And yeah, it's a very interesting unit. So let's see what we got. So obviously I'm not going to make any comparisons with the Gundam AGE-1 normal. That's kind of unnecessary because the way how Gundam AGE-1 works, or the Spallo, because I never owned one. Alright, so let's see. Before we take a look here, actually I guess I should mention what leftover parts you get from after building this guy. So I'm actually surprised by the amount of leftover parts. So I'll get into the stickers later because they're kind of odd. So number one here is the plate, the C plate. This is the original C plate for the Gundam AGE-1 normal. So here technically we have enough parts to actually make the Dots rifle. So the Dots rifle right over here, and some other parts right over here. So nothing too special there. We actually get the whole B plate. So at this point, I think you might be able to make the full-fledged AGE-1 normal with the given parts here as well. So practically we get almost everything here, because there are certain parts that are being used on the kit because of that. And we have some leftover polycaps, nothing too special there. And here we have the original A plate for the Gundam AGE-1 normal. So we have the shield part. We still get the flat parts here. So this is if you want to make the AGE-1 flat, this is the part that you use. We get the original feet. And here we have, yeah, that's pretty much it from the AGE-1 normal, other than the extra. We still get the beam saber effect parts as well, even the short ones. And here are some exclusive parts or plates for the AGE-1 Razor. So here, obviously, we use everything except for these ones. These were crossed out from the manual as well. And then here is another plate. Once again, we practically use everything except for these ones. Once again, these are crossed out of the manual. So part-wise, I think you should be able to almost make the AGE-1 normal. Now, I haven't tried it, but considering looking at the parts, it might be possible. And here is the sticker sheet. Now keep in mind, this sticker sheet is not only meant for the AGE-1 Razor, it actually includes stickers for the H2 Artemis at the same time. So obviously I did use some of these, and obviously I used the chest, the head cameras, the eyes and everything. Those I obviously used. Now these green ones are obviously the blades. So the only downfall for these old parts that were included in the hobby magazine is that the blades are actually plain white, so which is why they actually do give you these green stickers, but I decided to use a green metallic Gundam marker, so that's what to color those blades. And there are a few more blue parts, but I decided to just use a regular blue marker to color those parts as well. So I'll point those out later and see what we got. And also, just for the record, you do get an open hand, but once again, not really mentioned in the manual, but you can still make one. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Let me get rid of the stand. Let's see what we got. So I definitely love the form factor here. So these blades, these green parts are all blades, even the ones on the legs. These are called Razor blades. So they're not exactly the same name as the one Spallo uses, I believe, which was the Shigeru blade, I believe. But this is basically an updated version of that. So the interesting about these Razor blades is that even the edge or sharpness goes off. There's another layer on the inside. So in case the original edge breaks or goes off, it has another layer, so it's like a multi-layered blade kind of thing. So that's a pretty interesting gimmick or system, if you ask me. All right, so let's see right off the bat. So number one, obviously the main body, the main head, and then is exactly the same as the AGE-1 normal. The head, body, the same. Now for the waist section here, the waist part are the same. The yellow here, the white, the red, these are from the original AGE-1 parts, AGE-1 normal parts. So for those who don't know how the AGE-1 works, is that he has these different systems. Like for example, if you were to use the Titus, he basically takes off the arms and legs, and then I believe the white parts of the front skirt would pop off, leaving only the yellow parts. So, and then other parts will attach. Same goes for the back skirt as well. All right, so just for a quick articulation check, is that the head still has the same articulation here with a polycap neck joint, so it can go down that much, up that much as well. Now the shoulders still have the good amount of articulation here, so it can go forward and backward as well. And then going to the side, as far as it can go, about 90 degrees should be as far as you can go. Or if you can force it a little bit more, it'll slightly upwards more as well. And because of the connection, 360 twist is possible on the entire arm. And let me just take off one of the razor blades here. Just once you take it off, 360 on the arm itself is possible, and thanks to the joints, you do get a nice decent bend out of there. All right, now hands are still your typical HG Gundam style hands, where you have the ball joint and the polycap inside there. All right, so once again, the arms are pretty much, other than the main joint inside here, these are entirely new parts here. Now, while attaching this specific blue part might be a little bit awkward, but still works. Because the way how the design is, it's very awkward to attach it at the first time, but still works. All right, so we've seen those as well. So sticker-wise, other than the blades, there weren't many stickers here. So obviously, the other stickers were mostly on the waist section here. So the front skirt here, obviously these blue sections you see, those parts I actually colored with a regular blue Gundam marker. Apparently, it wasn't the exact same tone as these parts. So once again, the color might be a little bit different. So once again, these parts were originally stickers. I decided to try coloring them. Same goes for the back skirt here. These blue sections here are supposed to be stickers. I decided to use a blue Gundam marker. That's pretty much it. And the legs itself, let's see what we got. So, oops. Just wanted to mention, you can separate these ball joints if you want to do so. Alright, for the legs, it still has the same basis. You still have a nice side swivel going on here. The side skirts are also pretty new. Same uses those small ball jointed polycaps. Going to the side is pretty much possible. So if you want to do a decent kick, you can do that as well. Once again, these green sections here, these green blades are also supposed to be stickers, and apparently something scratched off on marker on it. I might need to recolor that as well. And then going forward is also pretty much possible, about 90 degrees forward, and then backwards, thanks to the back skirt moving 90 degrees to the back is possible. And let's see what we got. We get a nice decent bend going on here. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the feet because of the high heel style feet, but once again, you do get a forward and backward movement going on there, and you do get a nice pivot joint here on the bottom here. So the blue section only actually is the pivot point. The top section here is for mostly going forward and backward. So that's it. And going 360 on the feet, only the blue part can rotate, but once again, because of this part, it's going to be a little bit tricky to go 360. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the kit, so it still retains the really good articulation that the Gundam AGE-1 originally had, so I say that that's no big trouble or issue there. Now, weapon-wise, the only weapons you have are these blades, so we get 2 of these gigantic blades, so to use them, you can use them in various ways. So number one, you can just plug them into the hand if you want to do so, or if you want to hold it backwards, that is also possible. Once again, and then, oops, there we go. And you are actually able to combine these into one giant boomerang. So yeah, in the original PSP game, which I did play, he would definitely use these blades in various ways. He would just use it as these, or sometimes hold it, and he can actually hold this like a boomerang. So that's very cool. Now, one thing I was kind of hoping, because of the game, when you're actually using this unit in the game, he actually does show up with a handheld weapon, actually a long-range weapon, which was I believe was the DOTS machine gun. Yes, a machine gun, but that fires DOTS bullets. So that's a really interesting weapon. In the game, it wasn't that powerful, but it was really interesting to use. I was hoping that it would come with that, but apparently that wasn't the case. Alright, so I'll be right back to show you guys some demonstrations and some things that weren't really mentioned in the manual. So I'll be right back with the first demonstration. Okay, so here we have the so-called boomerang mode. So you can definitely, although while it is meant for throwing, but obviously for those who want to get more creative, you can obviously use this as a handheld weapon. Definitely loving the looks of this. Once again, I do wish the green parts would have been actually clear, but once again, actually looking at the wiki and the original art style of the Gundam AGE-1 Razor, the blades weren't as this much green. So actually it was definitely a much more lighter green, to the point where it's almost white. So I guess they were kind of confused on which style to go with, because I believe now I don't own the HG AGE-1 Spallo. The blade isn't actually green. Even the sticker I've seen before, it definitely looked like a really light green. But once again, that's just my memory. I might be wrong. So number one, if you're wondering how these parts are actually stored here, so obviously you have this handle, and there is a small indentation here. There's like a small graving, a square graving here, and then engravings there, and here we have these small like pegs popping out. So what you can do is that they actually lock into place like this. So it's actually, despite how it looks, it's a very sturdy connection. So I'm really surprised how these are holding up. So very well done at the same time. And once again, now the manual does tell you to take off the handguard when holding these blades. So, but you can technically kind of force them off at the same time. And one thing, the manual, if I read the manual correctly, I actually checked the manual multiple times, and it doesn't really mention this, but looking at the back skirt here, so if you guys just saw, you can see the way how you connect these is that you have these small peg and hole system right over here, and you basically attach these two together in this sense. Now, on the back skirt here, there are these holes here, and they are actually a perfect size for those pegs, and you can actually attach them here. Now, the only thing that doesn't really make sense is that because the length, so you're gonna have to, not exactly straight down, you're gonna have to kind of flip them up in order to make this guy stand with those things on the back. So definitely an odd. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be intended, or maybe those holes are meant for something else, but just wanted to point those out. And that is pretty much it for the AGE-1 Razor. So once again, for the one I'm reviewing is the reissued new set that includes all the parts. But once again, if you already have the old Hobby Magazine version stuff, this isn't exactly something new. Now, once again, I believe this set is not really meant for everyone. These are pretty much really meant for hardcore fans for Gundam AGE-1, or just really like collectors of AGE-1 series. So yeah, I think you're not going to be missing out too much as well. Now, as I mentioned before, tomorrow I will be reviewing the HG Gundam AGE-2 Artemis as well, and let's see what we got there tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for watching the review. This was the review of the P-Bandai exclusive HG AGE-1 Razor from the set version. If you guys got any questions or requests, leave a comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.